Hey, welcome back. It's another Top 10 Tuesday at BBM Productions. Today we are going to list off the top 10 MCU films. I'm here, of course, as always, with Brian and Bill. So, MCU movies and go.
All right,
Bill,
Brian, what you got? You want?
I don't got anything new. I'm putting Black Panther out there again. Killmonger, villains. I think a good villain. I actually watched Ragnarok last night since our talk, and that was a weird MCU movie, but didn't really have, except for Jeff Goldblum, that was a weird construction. I can see why it's one of your top favorites.
Yeah, might as well put that on the list because Thor Ragnarok is definitely in my top three.
Weirdly constructed still as a film and story.
I don't know. I liked it. I think it was a pretty good mix of comedy, drama, action. I think it struck a good balance.
It was a break from the formula. Ant-Man probably went a little bit too wacky with its little storyline. Paul Rudd's the star. What else can you do with a Paul Rudd superhero movie?
Like that scene in Ragnarok where they go to meet Doctor Strange. I've gone back and watched that clip several times just because I thought it was really well done.
That made me think Doctor Strange is an asshole. And he sort of
Yeah,
is.
kind of an asshole. Absolutely.
With the beer refilling you talking about?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that was the nicest thing he did.
Yeah, that was yeah.
He kept teleporting Thor all around the...
Unnecessarily. I'm like, why?
I like when Loki finally comes back. I've been falling for 30 minutes. Yeah.
So yeah, Ragnarok, Black Panther, Guardians of the Galaxy is probably one of my favorites.
Yeah, I'll put that
Same
up
here.
there.
My man Peter Quill. I don't appreciate all the hate that he got for. Obviously, there are going to be spoilers for all the MCU movies, so just know that, audience.
Warning now.
I really don't like all the hate that Peter Quill got for his role in Endgame, because him freaking out because Gamora was dead was it fit his character pretty well, and it was a very
It's kind of his
human
thing,
response. Yeah, absolutely.
They should have known.
Yeah,
Now, to all
like we
you
talked about
haters,
before.
Sorry.
Most of the leads that we have,
His words.
most of the leads are like these quippy, cold and calculated genius guys, so it's just a nice change of pace to have someone that has human responses to things. That's all.
But somebody should have probably just restrained him or took him out. I mean, come
Yeah.
on. You knew he was going to do it. Why did they all just stand there being like, don't do it?
Don't you
Come
do it,
on.
man.
Don't you do it? Yeah.
And we established last time that we're putting Infinity War and Endgame in lumped together because, like, sort of the Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, they sort of need each other to be complete. You complete me. Otherwise, it's a cop-out. Put Infinity War, the ending was horrible. Endgame, the build-up wasn't quite that great.
Yeah, no, I think that makes complete sense. Since it's like a chapter 1 and 2, essentially. OG Iron Man.
Yeah,
I think
I was
we
going to
talked.
say the first and still reigning champion. Yeah.
Let's kick the whole shabam off.
Yeah, it's hard to argue. I haven't seen it in a couple of years, but I can't imagine that it doesn't hold up.
I think it holds up well. I went back and watched it here a week or two ago in prep for this. So, all right, what else we got?
Any other standalone Iron Man films worth putting on the list?
No. I went back to the first Avengers, Captain America, okay? Because that was my most resilient one, and now I can see why people thought Winter Soldier was okay, but not really great. First Captain America, I think, should be on the list. First Avenger. I was resilient to it because I didn't like old Cappy, but it was a good mix of comedy and sort of heart and warmth. Winter Soldier was a little bit of a schlop trying to do the CIA. I loved Black Widow in that, but... And, of course, Falcon. I thought he was introduced quite well in the beginning.
My problem, I guess, with the first Captain America is it just doesn't seem to fit the tone
of the
of a lot of the
MCU.
rest. Yeah, the rest of the MCU.
That's why I sort of liked it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of, you either love it or you hate it kind of deal, you know, because it's kind of campy and
It's a war
I don't
story.
know.
I can see why
Yeah.
people dislike it, but it sort of brings to heart. I mean, I think it should be honorable mention, if not lower tier on this list, but that's just me.
I liked Tommy Lee Jones in it.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah,
I'm
he was
like,
good.
Tommy Lee Jones was in this movie? He didn't do one of his campy, he did one of his gruff drill sergeant bits.
His Agent K.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was a little
that's what's
campy, but it worked for that film.
No, I'm
Especially
saying
with Will
this. He's
Smith.
kind of was the same character, just that kind of hard nosed, you know, quick talking.
That was a little bit more cartoony. The first Avenger, he played it straight, and he was a great straight guy. Still had some good comic effect in that film, like when the Cap comes back with all those soldiers.
Sock old Hitler on the mouth. Yeah, it's been a long time since I saw it.
Okay. But I don't think the second one should be in there.
Was Winter Soldier the second one?
Yes.
Yeah. Then Civil War was his third.
Civil War.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And last time
that
you
that was-
tried to slip Civil War into the honorable mentions, Mike, I was almost like, why?
It's
Then
worth
my
an honorable
computer shut
mention. It's definitely worth an honorable mention.
down. Okay. Just because of some of the scenes.
Yeah, you get the introduction. I remember the internet lost its mind with the inclusion of Spider-Man in the trailer.
Yeah, Spider-Man. And
Speaking of Spider-Man, both
Still
Far
haven't
From
seen
Home
it.
and Homecoming.
But I like the
you still haven't seen
Spidey.
either one? Oh,
I-
man.
I got the fatigue, and I would have
get
to
that.
pay for it since it's not on Disney Plus or Netflix.
Hmm.
And,
I haven't seen Far From Home.
And as you said before, Tom Collins is a little bit a youngish spider, and it seems a little
Tom
weird.
Collins?
Yeah, Tom Collins.
We got
I'm
Tom
more
Collins.
of a drinker than
The Tom Collins mix. Tom Holland mix.
Bill, as someone that's the only person that's seen both, which do you prefer, Homecoming or Far From Home?
I don't know. That's a tough one. It really is. I thought they were both good. I'm not a fan of Jake Gyllenhaal at all, but I think he did a great job playing a villain, playing Mysterio. I like the twists and turns that the second one took. Gun to my head, I'd probably have to go with the first one.
Sure.
And
I do like Mysterio as a character.
yeah, I think Michael Keaton did an equally good job playing the villain. So I think
yeah.
I'd probably go with the first one.
Yeah, I know that Brian especially loved Birdman, so I know that it was hard to follow up.
Birdman.
Little known fact, did you know, guys, that Bruce Campbell was supposed to be Mysterio in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies?
What?
I know. They had, because he was, featured in all three of them, and the opening scene in 4 was supposed to be him getting busted by Spider-Man. So it wasn't like he was going to be a major villain, but
Yeah.
he was definitely supposed to be in there as Mysterio, which I think would have been a lot of fun, to be honest.
a cameo villain, so to speak. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. We actually have quite a few of these listed. I don't really like Guardians 2. I liked parts of it.
Yeah,
But-
there was
Yeah.
parts that made it worth watching, but overall, no.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
I also don't really like Kurt Russell. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did not know Vin Diesel did the voice of Gru. I think that's his best performance to date. I am Gru.
I wonder how much he got paid to say "I am Groot."
Good question.
Well,
He's
it
also
was
Iron
his
Giant.
best acting because he had to give emotional inflection to just those 3 words.
Do you think he said it each individual time?
I think he said it several
think-
different times and they took
Yeah.
different takes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Or do you think they just kind of altered the couple of takes, or do you think he actually sat there in a booth with the movie playing and was like, "I am Groot" each time? You know,
I think it's a little column A and a little column B.
Yeah.
it's just hilarious that they'd pay somebody like Vin Diesel to say "I am Groot."
Well, he needed to get
video
his
out
foot
there.
back in the game. He really got pissed off Hollywood by snubbing so many films
Really? I
after
didn't
so
know
many flops. Yeah, he was sort of non grata there for a bit. it wasn't a hard non grata, but he snubbed enough people that he needs to do a few little things to get his foot back in the door. And I think he's making his way back. He doesn't have his height of his fame now, but
Yeah, I think he was really locked in on doing the Fast and the Furious movies over and over.
Just because I'm determined to work Critical Role into at least every other podcast, there's a really good
You bastard.
one-off of Critical Role called D and Diesel, because Vin Diesel is a big board game guy,
I
and
think I've seen part of this. Yeah.
yeah, it's really good actually. They go through a little one-shot D&D game with Vin Diesel. If he did more stuff like that, I think that would be great because he had a lot of fun with it. It's just very entertaining, highly worth a watch.
Hmm.
Highly recommended, I should. Should we talk more about villains? I know, Brian, you mentioned Killmonger for your first pick.
yep. I like a good villain. We talked about Loki as a villain last podcast. He's sort of in a weird gray area that I like, but I wouldn't classify him as a villain. Same thing with Killmonger.
He's kind of like villain, like anti-hero. And so, yeah, Killmonger too. Yeah.
And Thanos also. He's trying to do what he feels is right. I think that's the best space for not sympathetic, so to speak, but understandable villains are my favorite. That's why I would not put Ragnarok as number one. The villains were weak. I think
I'd
it
agree with
definitely
that.
deserved a spot on the third spot, just because of how good the actual movie was. And I'm still not having fond memories of the first Thor, so I think that should.
I mean, I wrote it down. We can always pick it from the list, the original Thor.
Yeah, last time we said something about the first Thor, but it's still nothing memorable to me.
Sure. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. A good villain is one where you can at least understand their motivation. So I agree with that.
Told you.
That's
Thanos
probably
was just trying to give everybody SNAP benefits. Hey!
So. Any big movies we're missing on this?
The first Thor.
I got that done.
You got that? Okay. You got Ragnarok, right? Got that on there, and yep.
Yeah.
I think that's most of the ones from my list. I mean, did you throw the first Avengers in there?
Yeah, I got it on there.
Okay.
No.
Ant-Man, I'm not really a fan.
We didn't really bring up the first Avengers, but that established the ensemble cast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it played an important role in the MCU, and I thought it was a fine film. I watched it again when I first got Disney Plus, and holds up. I like the scene where Cap and Iron Man are fighting in the woods, or no, Thor and Iron Man are fighting in the woods.
All three of them end up
All
fighting.
three of them.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty good.
Yeah. It shows Thor's development a lot too. Because
Yeah.
he's just kind of, I don't know, kind of an angry idiot at first, but then by the later Avengers films, he's a much bigger part of the team.
Yeah. I liked Fat Thor. I know that there was like some controversial feelings on Fat Thor.
They did him dirty.
shaming.
Yeah. I like
Some
the
people-
idea of Fat Thor, but they really did go a little ham on making fun of Fat Thor in the film. I thought it was a bit much. Because not even so much that he was fat, I mean, obviously I'm on the heavier side, but no, it was actually because of the he's depressed and shit and dealing with like the loss of his planet and crap, and all they're doing is making fun of him nonstop. I'm like, man, you guys are kind of fucked up for real.
Yeah, I think that was kind of jealousy because you saw it especially in, I guess in Ragnarok where he's jacked and everyone always comments on how
Yeah.
jacked he is and how he's like, a pirate angel or whatever. And now everyone gets their chance to get on a few jabs because he's put on some pounds. But that's a good point. He's like fucking grieving.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha. You're drinking so much because you're upset. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, right?
Hilarious. But I guess people felt like it was, holding a mirror up to the audience. It's kind of what people's beef
yeah.
was or whatever.
Mm.
I liked it though. I thought it was fun. I don't buy Paul Rudd as a superhero. Just
I was wondering when you were gonna get to it. When
back
Brian
to the
mentioned Paul Rudd earlier, I was like, "Uh oh."
Yeah. I mean, it should either one Ant-Man or Ant-Man and the Wasp. You said last time you liked Ant-Man and the Wasp, Bill.
Yeah, it was a bit better than the first one. Yeah, at least in my opinion.
I don't know. I just don't. I
The
haven't seen him in that role. And,
what was his buddy? The one that was like fast
oh,
talking.
Michael Pena.
Yeah, Michael Pena. Yeah, he made the movie. He was freaking
did.
hilarious.
Yeah, he was really good.
They did like the drunk history thing where he'd talk real fast and then they cut to the actors like reenacting what he's talking about. That was like the best part of the whole movie.
For sure.
Yeah,
Who was
I
supposed
know.
to direct that originally? Edgar Wright?
I don't
That was
remember.
I think it was originally Edgar Wright, and then they
Mm.
shit canned him for some reason. What were you saying, Brad?
Mm.
Oh, I was just saying, we can't technically put X-Men on here because technically that's not part of the MCU. But if we could, which X-Men would you put on this list?
Oh,
I'm
God.
curious.
I think
You're
they're all
like talking about
extremely.
which cast or which specific movie?
Which movie? If you had one pick.
Maybe the first. I don't know.
Which cast?
The time travel one.
Oh,
Days of Future Past.
Mhm.
Yeah. To me, that was the only good one, unless we're counting Logan as well.
No, that sort of alternate dimension sort of style. It was a good
I think-
movie.
Even the first one, I think, is overhyped or overrated.
Yeah. I didn't find any of them to be spectacular.
No. They're rather forgettable. I mean,
It's a shame too because a lot of the casting was done pretty well.
yeah.
I think Jean Grey ruins most of the films.
Well, we
Just
talked
does.
about in our cartoons, Jean Grey, the little love triangle sort of puts a dramatic spin on Cyclops, Wolverine, Jean Grey.
I think the other issue is it gets a little bit boring because they spend too much time away from the X-Men. Does that make any sense? Like a lot of the film is like outside of what's happening with the X-Men, and then when you get to the X-Men, there's not enough focus on the fact that they have powers. You know what I mean? They focus too much on the drama and them like being people too much. You know?
And they undercut one of the best comic villains, Magneto. As I said,
Yeah.
I'm a big villain guy. Magneto's one of the best.
Yeah.
Hot take. I don't really like Ian McKellen in that role.
You did not, you said?
No, parts of
Yeah.
it I really liked. But, seeing him in the suit, it just looked kind of ridiculous, I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you're going to have some ridiculous elements to any comic book movie, but I just looked kind of ridiculous in my opinion.
He's a bit too old, a bit too like thin. Yeah. He didn't
Yeah.
really have the Magneto look. I agree with you.
I like the second Magneto. I can't remember
the young
his
Magneto?
name. Yeah.
Yeah. Fassbender,
what is his
yeah.
name? Fassbender.
Yeah.
He had the charisma for younger
Yeah.
Magneto.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, First Class was pretty good, now that we're talking about it. I like McAvoy.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a good actor. Doesn't quite. I mean, Patrick Stewart's perfect.
Yes.
I don't think you get any better than that for casting Xavier.
But since they made Iceman gay, let's just forget about X-Men and move on with the list. Now, a lot of people are
All
more
right.
pissed about that. I'm just using that as a segue. Iceman gay, leave it be.
Dark World was awful, I thought. Thor Dark World.
I mean, Doctor Strange. I don't know.
Oh,
We didn't even
yeah.
talk about Doctor Strange last time.
That was a
Yeah.
good movie, except for there's a few niggles, but it was cool.
Yeah, it works well as a standalone film. It was a good movie. It didn't necessarily feel like you were watching an MCU
Yeah.
movie, to be honest, but I liked it.
That's why I hear the new one's going to be almost horror based, and I think that's a good way to distinguish it in the new phase of the MCU. But we'll probably talk more about that next podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, I have some thoughts on that. It's gonna be interesting to see how they handle this next phase.
Yeah.
My only gripe with the Doctor Strange movie, I liked everything about it except for just the plot seemed kind of tired to me. Oh, he's like this cocky genius guy.
Yeah, it really
Uh,
gets to you, doesn't it?
it really, I'm
Whole
tired of it, man. It's like,
yeah.
all right, I
Well,
get
it
it.
reminded me of Batman a little bit.
Oh, you're
You
good.
know, a damaged man going to the eastern lands and finds a mysterious thing, MacGuffin, that helps him get his goals, but it changes him in a different way.
I
Reminds me
feel
of
like that's kind
Nolan's
of Mike's
first
point,
Batman.
though. I feel
Yeah.
like that's kind of your point, is that it's so overdone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then surprise, he's the chosen one. Thank God you're here,
Right.
white man, to save,
All of
It's just-
humanity.
I liked it. I liked it overall.
Probably won't make it that high, but I think it should be on the list someplace,
Yeah, I
even
agree
if
with
it's
that.
honorable mention.
To be honest, I have a bit of a problem with characters like Doctor Strange in general, especially when you try to add them to something like the Avengers. Because man, just what do you do with a character like that? It's so overpowered, you know?
Well, they also tried to distinguish the superpowered characters in the comic books, at least, from the mystical characters in general.
Yeah.
They
But
really,
I mean, it's just he demonstrates abilities that at any point could overcome anything that they face in any of the Avengers movies or any of the other MCU movies. I mean, the thing he does in the first like standalone Doctor Strange film where he like rewinds time after every like that the Hall of Hong Kong had been like destroyed. I mean, what do you do with that? I have a problem with anything that gets into the whole rewinding time thing because
so you have a
you
problem
could-
with the first Superman movie?
yeah, right. Because you could just at any point he could just be like, "Well, let's open up the time stone and just rewind it." Like, why doesn't he do that against Thanos? Like, I don't understand. Right in the middle of the battle, he could have just been like, "Well, let's see when's a
waste
more
time."
opportune time to like walk over and grab this glove," But no, yeah, they never seem to give a reasonable explanation for why they can't just use the powers that are available to them. Or
Time
like
travel tends to be the God thing, Deus Ex device in a film or
Yeah,
any
yeah.
story in general. I'm the story guy after all, so time travel generally you don't want to use it for the wrong reasons. And yeah, I can see Doctor Strange doing it, but they just want it one spectacular moment to show the overpowered
Yeah.
nature of that. I understand
And I
that,
get it.
and there
it,
should
yeah.
be limitations, even if they don't explain them in the story. There should be limitations to that sort of thing. That's why he doesn't do it all the time.
And there's
But-
other stuff too, though. Like when he cuts off like appendages using the like gateways, he opens and closes. Couldn't cut off Thanos' arm with the glove. Slip one of those gates over, cut his hand off. Like I don't know. There's just so many things where when you have a character like Doctor Strange that can literally fold space and time, you're like, well, how is anybody going to punch their way out of that?
Yeah, I feel like there's a really easy solution too. Just like in passing, say that he make it mana. He only has so much mana
Right,
that he can
right.
use.
When
Maybe he has to
runs out, he runs
sleep
out.
or yeah, exactly.
And at that point, did Thanos had some of the stones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. That's just kind of my little rant about when you get
Yeah, no.
overpowered characters. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a good point. I mean,
agree
even with-
that.
With Thanos, everyone kept wondering, like, if you can turn everyone into noodles, and if you can turn all this stuff into bubbles and pretty much do whatever you want, how is that even a fight? Just like as soon as
why
the
would
fight
you even
starts,
fight? Yeah.
yeah, you're all noodles now. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat you up, and then he eats them. Put you in a big pot.
Like
Some cheese on there?
Kobayashi. Ah!
It's in uncharted waters. That's funny. Fucking Catalina wine mixer.
Fucking Catalina wine mixer.
Glad we
Let's start ranking these bad boys.
All
I
right.
think- So again, we've kind of alluded to it, but we haven't really addressed it in this recording. This is the second time we've done this one. We had some technical issues the first time, so I think the first go round. God,
But
excuse me. Thank you. We had Iron Man 1 at number 1, if I recall correctly. I'm
yes,
still fine with that.
yeah, me too.
Brian,
Started it
any?
all.
Yeah, Iron Man.
Tony, I
Um,
mean, him as Tony Stark is just brilliant. He's probably the best actor for the best role.
Probably the best casting than in any superhero movie ever.
yeah, I
Then
totally
they
agree.
switched a Rhodey character to a different actor because the other actor was just too hoity-toity
Money.
to do another Marvel movie, I guess.
No, he wanted more money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And he wanted to be billed next to Robert Downey, and
Okay.
the studio was
Did
not
not know
having
that.
that. So I think the last time it was Iron Man, Guardians, and Ragnarok, or was it
Uh,
Iron Man, Ragnarok, and Guardians?
I think it's Iron Man, Ragnarok, and Guardians. Yep, 1, 2, 3.
I'm still okay with that. Brian, now that you've seen Ragnarok, do you have any different opinions on where it falls
I
on the
still
list?
have a preference for Guardians over Ragnarok. I think Guardians had a better story structure. It wasn't they stand pretty well together, but story structure wise, I like Guardians better. So I'll leave it up to you guys where those two fall.
I'll put Ragnarok at number 2. I really enjoyed Guardians. Peter Quill is my jam. And obviously, you couldn't have Ragnarok without Guardians.
Yeah,
Kind of set the tone. It was a really good departure from the tone they'd built up. So
yeah.
anyway, I'll stop throating it.
Yeah.
All right, so we got our 1, 2, 3 out of the way. Do you want to continue to go through? Do you want to do number 10? Then we can kind of work to the middle.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, which do you feel like
Well,
deserves?
I guess before we get a 10, we should probably see which ones should come off the list. We have 7 slots.
Yeah.
So which ones should be honorable mentions? We kind of start from the bottom.
Let's see.
Now we're here.
We have 11 left on the list. We have Black Panther, Infinity War, Endgame. Oh, I got to take Iron Man off. Captain America: First Avenger, Civil War, Homecoming, Far From Home, Avengers 1, Thor, Winter Soldier, Doctor Strange.
Winter Soldier should come off immediately.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that as well. Okay.
And honestly, probably Civil War too.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that.
I didn't even want an honorable mention just because it was such a weird slop. We went into the whole how they probably just tried to copy the success of the comic book event into the movie, and it did not translate one for one very well.
Yeah.
There were some moments in it, like Spider-Man, Black Panther being with the Avengers. Even Ant-Man had a little bit of props here and there in that movie, but overall, no.
Would have been interesting to see what they could have done if, like, I always thought it was weird that Civil War was like a Captain America movie. I thought it'd be interesting to see what they could do with like its own 2 to 3 movie arc, where it's just the standalone Civil War itself.
Probably would have been better, to be honest. More
Yeah,
time to develop the reasons for why everybody chose a side, and
Exactly, because it is an interesting storyline, I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got Civil War, Winter Soldier on honorable mentions. Captain America, do we think that should be on the list, or should
I
that
think
also be an
so.
honorable mention? Yeah, I'm fine with that. I
think
enjoyed
if
it.
it goes on, I think I'd put it at 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree. I like
It
Thor
was a weird
more.
one.
Yeah, I think Thor was better.
I disagree, but
Chris Evans, I think, is another really choice casting for Captain
Yeah,
America.
yeah.
Also, he was in that movie Sunshine, which is one of my favorite movies. Chris Evans, shout out.
No, my
Okay.
only problem with him initially was the fact that he had already played a Marvel character, but it's
Right.
not in the MCU, so whatever.
Right. I do hope they make a good Fantastic Four movie. I've never been a big fan, but I like the characters well enough to where I hope they get some good
Yeah.
treatment.
I don't understand why they have so much trouble with that, but yeah.
Yeah, me
'Cause
neither.
they are good characters, you know.
Yeah, I like Miles Teller as well. I thought he was fine in that. I know people don't seem to like Miles Teller for some reason. I like him. I don't know.
All right. So, what else? What do we have left here? Black Panther obviously should go on the list. Infinity War is going to go on the list. Slash Endgame. Uh, Thor is number 9.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
It's good, but not.
Great.
Um, it would probably make sense if Infinity War Endgame were our number 4.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's not number 1,
Yeah.
or even in the top 3.
I mean, it takes a while to develop. I'm glad we didn't bring up Captain Marvel. That should be forgotten from the
I forgot
history
about
of
Captain
things.
Marvel. I didn't
Forget
even
it,
see
Mike. Forget it, Mike.
I was definitely fatigued by the time Captain Marvel came.
And the story structure, it was a 5 out of 10 at best. Maybe 6 if you want to be generous. Very forced movie.
Which one? I'm
Captain Marvel.
sorry. Okay, yeah.
It was probably also very rushed. It seemed very rushed to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like I said before. I don't think it deserves all the hatred that it got.
No.
But it wasn't great. It wasn't bad either. I went and saw it in the theater. I was fine with it. You know, wasn't like I was like, oh man, I want my money back or anything stupid like that, like people were saying. But it wasn't the best MCU film either. So.
Sure.
To be honest, I think some of them have gotten overhyped too. Like I liked Black Panther, but I thought it was overhyped.
As I said, what made that movie was just the storyline, the good villain. You almost wanted to root for the villain. But it created a good change in T'Challa, or however you say the Black Panther character's name. It created... You saw they didn't show the evolution very well until the very end, so that would be a point against it, but at least it made its point.
Yeah.
Wakanda as a whole is a little weird, but it's a
How do you
fantasy
mean weird,
world.
Brian?
You have... Huh?
How do you mean weird, Brian?
It's just a little
'Cause it's
city in the middle
in
of
Africa?
nowhere. No.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a hidden city. I mean, I like the concept overall. The hidden city idea works very well. Typically, it's done with South America, so it's interesting. It makes sense to move it to Africa, the cradle of all civilization. So it was a nice little change on that.
I think they got a little ridiculous with Wakanda. If you ask
Yes, they
me.
did.
If I'm being perfectly honest.
It was a little ridiculous, but the concept as a whole was okay. They just went a little overhyped on it.
They're like, oh, you look at all this technology that Iron Man has and how smart Tony Stark is, and then they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, there's Wakanda, and everything that he knows or does is stupid. You know, I think it went a little too far. They kind of jumped the shark a little bit with
The fact
Wakanda.
that they had that primitive sort of society with such that sort of oxymoronic society seemed a little weird to me.
Yeah,
That was probably my biggest problems. They were the best technology, yet they had a very tribalistic structure. It just seemed a little oxymoronic to me.
yeah, and it was the resolution of the film was a little odd too, because you do have Killmonger, who has kind of a valid point. He's like, look, you know, you have all this technology and the ability to, you know, save lives and protect the planet when there's and you're just hiding here behind a cloak, you know, in this little city, you know. So he has some valid points, and in the end, they're just kind of like, yeah, we're not doing that because T'Challa wins and get the hell out of here with all that, you know. And you're like, what?
He said they're going to go slow into the world, which
Yeah,
actually
I
makes
know,
sense.
yeah. But
Killmonger wanted to pretty much declare war on
That's
the
true.
wide world.
yeah,
Why he changed T'Challa's Black Panther's mind. I'm probably butchering that name.
to me, that kind of it gets a little overly race baiting in some areas too with
Let's put it at 8.
Killmonger.
Okay?
Yeah,
Let's put it at 8. It was a good film. It had some flaws.
Done. I agree with that.
So we have 5, 6,
Yeah.
7.
I think
Five,
it
six,
deserves the 8 spot. Yeah,
Yeah.
on the list. I think it should be on the list. I just thought it was a little overhyped because everybody was like, "It's the best MCU movie ever" for like 6 months, and I'm like, eh.
The car chase was rather useless. It demonstrated cool technology, but that seemed the most useless. Sort of like the whole middle part of not The Last Jedi, the middle trilogy movie.
And I agree with Mike from last time too. Andy Serkis was pretty good in it.
For sure. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Didn't it get nominated for Best Picture? Am I remembering that right?
Probably, but who cares about
Remember.
awards?
That was just kind of interesting. So yeah, 5, 6, 7. Looking at Homecoming, Avengers 1, Doctor Strange. Honestly, of the movies we have left, I feel like those are the 3 that we should put on the list.
Actually,
Oh, sorry,
I
say
think
again?
I think Black Panther was better than Doctor Strange, so we should switch those around.
Yeah, I never saw Black Panther, so I really don't have an opinion.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, so how about
So-
7 Black Panther, 8 Doctor Strange?
Okay.
Yes.
Because I did like
So
Doctor
how many
Strange.
slots do we have left?
2.
Okay, and what movies are left?
Avengers 1, Homecoming, Far From Home is all that's left on the list.
I'm bowing out.
Probably number 6. I guess it is would be probably the first Avengers.
Yes,
Put
totally
one of the-
agree.
Put one of the Spider-Mans in the middle slot there.
I'm going to put Homecoming just because it's
Yeah,
the only one
Yeah.
I've seen.
yeah, I agree with that.
And then we'll relegate Far From Home. Is it even worth an honorable mention? Far From
I
Home?
think so. I think it's worth an honorable mention. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so any other thoughts before we review the list here? One more time?
No, I think we're good.
All right, so the definitive top 10 list of MCU movies. Coming in at number 10, Captain America, the First Avenger. I'm going to sock old Hitler on the mouth. Coming in at number 9, Thor. Another! Coming in at 8, Doctor Strange. Really good soundtrack. Don't sleep on the soundtrack. Coming in at number 7, Black Panther. Wakanda Forever. Coming in at number 6, Avengers. Avengers Assemble! Coming in at number 5, Homecoming. Kill Mode Engage. Coming in at number 4, Infinity War / Endgame. Why don't you just cut off his arm? Coming in at number 3, Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know how this machine works. Number 2, Ragnarok. I'm the Grand Master. Couple honorable mentions. Far From Home, Captain America Civil War, and Captain America Winter Soldier. And obviously, the number 1 MCU movie is the first, Iron Man.
It's
Pretty
a good list.
Pretty good list.
Pretty
good
happy
list.
with that.
I can't imagine that. I think most of the lists that I've listened to, Iron Man is like always number 1, pretty much.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Either Iron Man or Endgame at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've seen some ones with the Avengers films as the number 1, but
Well, stay tuned for our next MCU podcast on Friday, where we're going to talk about where the MCU has gone, where it's going, and where it is. And we're working on possibly doing a new series where we verse different characters. So subscribe and hit that bell icon to find out when those videos go up, bros.
So
And
you can
don't
dislike them.
don't forget to tell us how much you hate us in the comments and how your favorite MCU entry was left off the list and how much you like all the TV shows and everything else. Until next time, bye.